Yup, you read that title right. I, a now 20-year-old female, was 13 at the time that this story takes place. It was the summer between 7th and 8th grade for me, which would make the year 2016, and I just moved to a new city about an hour away from where I grew up. To help me make friends before the school year started, my mom signed me up for a day camp in the new town over the summer. At this camp, I actually did develop a small friend group, but the only one that matters to this story would be Jay, a 14-year-old male. I'm gonna be honest, Jay was always more flirty with me than I was comfortable with, and I expressed that several times, but I always tried to minimize confrontation when I did so. Hindsight is 2020. I should have cut off the friendship when it was clear that he wasn't respecting my boundaries. But I was a lonely kid and all my other new friends acted like it was normal. Well, one day the rest of the friend group wasn't there. One was sick and the other two were siblings whose family had taken a day trip. And Jay and I were hanging out alone in the gym. We were sitting off to the side talking, but the gym was full of other kids and counselors. He said that he had a secret to tell me and asked me to lean in closer. As soon as I did, he grabbed me and pushed me down to the ground and got on top of me. In front of the whole gym, he was trying to kiss me, while also trying to use the hand that he wasn't holding me down with to fiddle with the button to my pants. I yelled at him to stop and to get off me, but no. I thrashed around and made it as difficult for him as possible to do what he was attempting to do. But he still wouldn't stop, and none of the counselors gave me a second look. I thought that in a room full of people, nobody was going to stop him, and I knew that if somebody didn't, he was going to fully overpower me and follow through. I was still trying to fight him off when a group of about 4 or 5 kids from the younger age group, who had previously been playing badminton, saw what was going on and decided to take it into their own hands since nobody else would help me. I want to stress to you guys that these kids were from the 6 to 9 age group. None of them looked a day older than 8, but these kids brought their little rackets with them and rallied around me. I heard a little chorus of voices yelling, "Get off of her! Stop it, you big butthead!" And one prominent, she said no. While I watched 2 rackets slide between our faces, they were trying to pry his face off of my face. The other kids took their rackets and just went ham on Jay, hitting the crap out of him. At first, he was so focused on his goal that he just swatted at them, hitting the kids back and continuing to try to force himself onto me. But these kids were not letting up. And the combination of me thrashing and the kids hitting him was making this a lot harder than he had thought it would be. So after about 5 minutes of this, Jay decided that it simply wasn't worth it anymore. He got off of me and he walked away. And to this day, I still think about it a lot. It was obviously traumatic for me. Not only that a friend tried to do that to me, but that the adults in the room that were supposed to protect me completely ignored what was going on. It's sick to think that these young kids cared more about my autonomy than the adults. But at the same time, it gives me a little bit of hope for the future, to know that the younger kids of this generation are being taught to care about others in this way. Those kids now would be about the age that I was when it happened, and I wonder about how they're doing all the time. I wonder if they ever think about what they did for me that day. I hope they know how grateful I am. I can't say I'm glad that this happened by any means, but in a way I'm grateful that it gave me the opportunity to see the next generation in action and boost my faith in humanity. I was watching YouTube videos about true scary stories and I realized that I had a perfect story for it. This happened about a week ago, so I had biked to school with my best friend. We were going to stay after school to work on a project together anyways, so it worked out. On our bike ride home from school, we decided not to go straight home, and that what we wanted to do was go on a small bike ride down a path by the park that would lead us back to my house anyways. When we were unchaining our bikes from the bike racks, I noticed a red Dodge Dakota across from the school. Just an FYI, we live in a pretty small town, so most of the kids who get picked up, we know what kind of cars they get into, and what cars hang around the school at pickup time, as well as what cars the teachers and students that drive themselves to school look like. Or at least somewhat of an idea, but I usually didn't see that one before. And it was probably like an hour and a half past the time that school had gotten out. But it could have been somebody's relative picking them up, or whatever, so I really didn't put that much thought into it. We started biking towards our path, and after about 5 minutes, my friend told me the red truck was driving on the road next to the sidewalk that we were biking on, but it was a little behind us. I told her that it was probably fine and just a coincidence, and that they're probably going home or they live around here, so we kept on going. But he didn't stop after about 10 more minutes of him still following us. And then I started getting a little concerned. We ended up continuing until we got to a gas station because then at least there would be people around and less of a chance of something happening. So we parked our bikes and went in, and we grabbed a drink and a snack and did so to not make it look odd that we were in there. But while we were inside, I called my brother to come and get us, and that there was somebody following us. He told us that he would be right there and to just stay inside. And so we did, and we paid for our snacks and told the cashier about it. And she let us just sit there until my brother finally arrived. My brother pulled in, and so we walked out to get our bikes when we couldn't find them, and we looked around and saw the red truck pulled behind the gas station with our bikes right next to it. The man that was driving it was looking right at us, and we went and told my brother. He said forget about the bikes and to just get in the car. And so we did, and my brother got out of the car and went into the gas station to get the employee. And while he was doing that, the man sped off out of the back parking lot of the gas station. When my brother came out, he said that the gas station worker was going to check back the cameras and see if she could see or maybe get a license plate to give to the authorities. And that my brother gave her our mom's information for any updates. We both made it home safe, and I'll keep y'all updated when we find out more. I'm on a holiday with my boyfriend and our dog in the Lake District. We had been for a meal and was on our way back to the Airbnb. I had had a parcel strategically delivered to a supermarket, so I went in first, and then my boyfriend went in to buy beer and some groceries while I waited outside with the dog. It was dark, and as it's the off-season, there weren't that many people around. About 5 minutes into waiting on the pavement, an early 40s man wearing a red shell suit type ensemble walked past. I accidentally caught eye contact, so I smiled weakly, and he leered creepily back as he passed. I watched him walk away as he got to the end of the shop, and he bellowed, "Victims, victims, everybody's a victim." About 10 to 20 seconds after that, too, he started singing, "Take me down to the paradise city where the grass is green and the girls are pretty." He went around the corner, and I thought that was it. My boyfriend was taking too long at this point, so I tried to get his attention through the glass door. And then I saw that same guy coming back up the road heading straight towards me. I really didn't want to have another run-in with this guy, so I went into the supermarket, completely ignoring the no dogs allowed rule, and I made an animated display so that both he and the cashier knew that I was there. When my boyfriend came out, I explained what had happened and pointed out the guy who was staggering uphill in the direction that we needed to go. I suggested that we hang back for a bit and we keep our distance. He eventually turned off down a side road, and that was the last that we saw of him. For the entire walk back, I was turning around to make sure that we weren't being followed. Even now, as we're sat watching Die Hard, I'm really creeped out. I know that I was probably in no danger, but it's a really weird thing to shout at a lone woman with a little dog.